so they wanted us to have ours. And with that being said, they were really strict.
By her senior year of high school, Victoria became tired of being her parents' good girl and started to push back against the rules.
My friends, they were out going, having fun and doing things that we're not allowed to do. Victoria started testing the limits. She started breaking the rules.
She was just really getting out of control.
Eventually, Victoria's parents sent her to live with her grandmother, 3 hours away in Lubbock, Texas, to separate her from all the negative influences back home.
My mother-in-law said, you know what, I think Victoria would be better off if she came to Lubbock with me. We were really frustrated at that point, so we just decided to send her to her grandma's to see if grandma can help us out.
Me and Victoria was very close. We thought that I could handle her a little bit better because she loved me so.
Soon, Victoria
She did real well. When she got here, she got a job.
She started working part-time in a restaurant in Lubbock.
Even though Victoria's teenage rebellion had seemed to come to a stop, she felt lonely without her old friends.
Being in Lubbock, I did feel isolated. The only person that I felt really just loved me was my granny.
But that all changed when she met handsome stranger Raymond Jackson.
Raymond and Victoria, they meet at her job. Raymond sees her, likes what he sees. He begins to flirt.
When he first walked in, it was like, okay, you know, he was very attractive. Nice eye candy. He looks good. When she met Raymond, she just thought, oh my God, he is so cute. Like she was said, he's fine, Mom, he was just fine. He was wanting my number. Not gonna make it to you. But he was very persistent. And finally it just wore me down.
Over the next few days, Victoria and Raymond spent all of their free time getting to know one another, developing a deep friendship.
The first conversations with him, they were amazing. He listened to me. He actually asked about my thoughts, asked about my opinions. I think that what stood out for me with him was it wasn't about hooking up. He just talked to me. He did become my friend, my only friend. I didn't have any friends in Lubbock. And he became all that to me and more. He gave me something that I felt like I was missing.
Over the next few weeks, the friendship quickly turned to passion.
Victoria fell deeply in love with Raymond. As a teenager, it's all or nothing. And so with Victoria, she wanted to prove her love. She wanted to be committed. She fell head over heels for him.
We were in love. I really felt like Ray was my soulmate. And I ended up just giving him my all. I gave him every piece of me.
Raymond had a rough past, but the struggles he'd been through just made Victoria appreciate him more.
He just was pretty much on the streets, raising himself since he was 12.
Around age 15, he was sent to juvenile detention facility, did time there.
The more that he would open up to me about living on the streets, having a hustle, made me want to love him and be that girl that was there.
I look like Snoop Dogg.
Victoria may have well been caught up in the idea of rescuing Raymond. You know, he's a bad boy. I'm a good girl, and I'm on the right path.
But soon Victoria ventured back to her rebellious ways, in an effort to be with Raymond 24/7.
Victoria and Raymond were very creative within their relationship to make sure they could see each other as much as possible.
My granny didn't approve, but it was great. You couldn't tell me nothing different. When her mom would go to bed at night, she would open the door and Raymond would come in and he...
To Victoria, Raymond had rescued her from her loneliness. Though he was rough around the edges, he made her feel exactly the way she needed. But before long, Victoria's love would be put to the test, pushing her to dangerous limits.
Victoria was always attracted to the bad guy. My dad told me, Victoria, you are for me to hang around. With Ray, with back, yeah, I became who I hung around.
August 3rd, 2004. Police are on the scene inside a Lubbock convenience store where a female clerk has been killed.
We responded to the scene where a victim had been shot.
Police identified the deceased woman as 47-year-old Patricia Garcia. When detectives called Patricia's family to notify them of the tragedy, they learned she was a single mother of four with 5 grandchildren.
They were obviously devastated. We found out Patricia was a very kind woman, loving woman.
She had been working the graveyard shift to support the family, trying to make those ends meet.
As investigators look around for clues, they spot a surveillance camera directly above the grisly scene.
One of our first priorities was to get that tape and figure out what was on it.
But as detectives dig deeper, they'll discover the case is far more complicated than a typical robbery gone wrong.
We ultimately found out that this was a case that was twisted by love.
Loyalty with the wrong person can be very big.
Seventeen-year-old Victoria Harris was in love with 18-year-old bad boy Raymond Jackson.
And I guess this was her first love. She was crazy about Raymond. She liked to swag.
Raymond started the bad boy image at a very young age, got into trouble. He was surviving on the streets.
Victoria wasn't concerned about Raymond's past, only with their future.
I made him my world. I made him my God. Because he's the one I look to. He's the one that I depended on.
But Victoria had no idea her blind devotion would be her destruction.
It was just possible. But I genuinely loved him.
In August of 2004, Lubbock police are investigating the convenience store murder of clerk Patricia Garcia, who was gunned down just before dawn. The store's surveillance camera may hold a clue as to who pulled the trigger.
I've been involved in many cases where those cameras have solved the cases within 24 hours.
The next day, detectives get their hands on the surveillance footage and review it at the station.
The videotape showed no one in the store. Then suddenly the front doors opening up with 2 assailants coming in with hoods on and bandanas covering their face with a shotgun.
You see them approach the counter where the clerk would normally be.
And then you see a movement, a blast, and you see them immediately run out. Based on everything that we found, we truly believe that we had a legitimate robbery gone bad.
The video clip yields little information on the perpetrator's identity, but something catches Detective Sutton's eye.
I saw what appeared to be a purse in one of them's hands.
The bag in the video has a distinctive plaid pattern.
It stood out, caught my eyes just by the way it looked. And my thought process was, maybe I'll see this again somewhere else.
Investigators released the video to the public, offering a $25,000 reward for any information that helps solve the case.
We began to receive calls from various people suspects that people thought it was.
Most of the leads don't pan out. But finally, 5 months later, police get a call from an anonymous tipster that could break the case.
We received a very promising tip naming Raymond Jackson as a possible suspect in the case based on some statements he'd made at a party.
The tipster tells detectives that the statements Raymond made at the party were disturbing, to say the least.
Raymond was mounting off about he kills a female at the convenience store. That he went in and robbed the store, and the lady shot
stopped them by screaming, and the gun went off, and he shot him guilty.
The tipster said that Raymond showed no remorse when he was talking about shooting the victim.